can't think of any more human activity than conducting science experiments.
The game I play is a very interesting one. It's imagination in a tight straitjacket.
The beauty of a living thing is not the atoms that go into it, but the way those atoms are put together.
What I always think should be the basis of education is not answers, but questions. We should teach kids how to question.
This is Lab Coats. My name is Amit Siddiqui. In this abridged version, we talk to Sandy, who is a synthetic chemist, about his journey in high school and how he got into science. Really interesting stuff. To hear the full version, go to blabcoats.com and subscribe to our podcast.
I always knew that science was my passion. I mean, it's from a young age. I just always, I think people got a bit sick of me always asking, but why and how and one of the first books Mum ever got me was, I've still got it at home. It's like, what's this made of? Or something like that. It's like a chemistry for like 3-year-olds.
Wow.
And that just always fascinated me. But as a kid, like I knew I had this passion for. I always enjoyed it, but I was just so busy, as every kid is, wanting to be the next, Australian cricket captain or, the next Harry Kewell. So I was, played a heap of cricket and didn't have too much time at school until a bit later on when I, got to year 11 and 12. And
Did you have aspirations of becoming a professional cricketer?
I did. It only was once I started. When I came out of the HSC and started uni, I was still playing cricket quite competitively. And then when I realised I had that my passion for science was taking over my passion for cricket, that's ultimately what it came to.
And why did your passion for science take over over cricket?
I guess I got to that stage where, in the HSC, you're learning chemistry and biology and physics, but it stops at a level because they're not really asking you to comprehend much, right? It's the HSC is so much regurgitation, so it was still cool, but I wasn't really enjoying it as much as when I got to uni, and they're just teaching you to think, and the science got really cool,
okay.
and I had a couple of really good lecturers and really good supervisors who just kind of really made me, tick over. So.
Right. So you said you were interested in science. I'm assuming in your HSC for year 11 and 12, you did some science units?
Yeah, I did chemistry, physics, and biology.
Oh wow! So you did you're the triple threat, man.
Did the triple threat. It put a bit of a sting on the rest because it meant I had to resort to like my 9th and 10th choices for other things because the lines that would clash, obviously. So, I ended up doing like business studies, which was 10th choice.
Right. Okay. So were you good at math in high school?
I guess you have to be for physics and chem.
Right.
I enjoy it a lot more now. In high school, you don't quite see the use of it.
Yeah.
Once you start getting into the real world of chemistry and physics, you see all this how useful this stuff is, and you wish you had paid more attention.
Oh, for sure. When you actually see it, and I think that's one of the things I'm really sad about when it comes to high school mathematics. I think we don't see the application enough. I did 3 in the maths and then dropped to 2 in the maths in high school. But I remember throughout the whole time, I was thinking, this is useless. I'm never going to use maths. When am I even going to use maths?
Don't explain what it could be used for.
Yeah.
That's such a shame.
Dude, it's... and then I was watching a lecture by... I think there's this guy called Richard Arthur who wrote Mathemagics. Solving X to figure out Y or something like that, and it's all about like just the beauty of math, its application and the cool patterns that exist, and it's so it's so. I just thought at that time, like if I had this in high school, if I had passionate teachers, like I would have done maths and possibly gotten into I don't know.
That's what it comes down to in the end, isn't it? It's passionate teachers. I mean, I was talking to even just here at UWS, Burkhardt. Schruer, he was saying in Germany quite often what they had was the lecturers. So someone who comes out of a PhD is they set the wages not too different as a high school teacher and the graduate job coming out of your PhD. So you got all these people going, okay, well, I'll get the holidays, I'll go teach high school. So you got PhD teaching maths, teaching science. So he was saying that his maths teacher for a few years in high school was taking when they were doing differential equations or something. He'd say, all right, we've learnt this, let's go do what Einstein did, let's take his maths and derive that, and that kind of thing. So showing them actually the really cool things that it's used for, not just...
Yeah, for sure. And more recently, and by more recently, I mean, once I've left high school, I've become more and more interested in physics. Like, I've watched a lot of physics documentaries. I'm just fascinated because I'm more fascinated with the philosophical aspect of physics, right? Describing the universe and nature in terms of words, things I can actually understand.
Big physics.
Exactly, yeah. When you're getting to actually having mathematical models that explain a certain law of the universe, that's when I get lost. But I appreciate the fact that math almost appears to be the language of the universe. I don't know if it's something that humans created, but it's similar to how we created language.
It's the way you're describing it, right? It is a language. You're describing the universe.
Exactly.
That's what it is.
And it's so intrinsically involved with how the universe works. I just keep thinking, if I understood that back then, if I understood that by learning maths, we're learning the language of science, essentially, right? Because yours is chemistry, but mine's biology, physics. Every field of science has to use maths in one way or another. And it's a shame that we get these high school graduates, including myself, probably not you, but including myself, who had a bad taste left in their mouth
100%,
because it seemed so esoteric and far removed from real world life.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think 100% it comes down to how it's taught, and whether someone is passionate enough to pass that passion on. You know what I mean? It's someone speaks to you with a passion about something, it ekes into you. It seeps through, and it's infectious. I mean, I had Roy Tasker in first years.
You had Roy Tasker.
Chemistry, and that was what really put me down the chemistry track. I thought, maybe biochemistry or even biomed or something like that, until I had that year with Roy Tasker, and then it was just never looked back.
I was going to ask you why you got into chemistry rather than other fields. So you had a really phenomenal... Roy Tasker, for the guys who don't know, was nominated as Australia's
he was awarded, actually.
Oh, not okay.
Lecturer
sorry.
of the year,
Lecturer of the Year, which is, dude, that's so cool. Do you know what I mean? Like, there are so many lecturers out there, and to be named as the Lecturer of the Year, that's phenomenal. So you had a really great teacher.
Yeah, and his research was into the communication of chemistry.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he I think for a little while he'd stopped any chemical research, and he was more based on the translation, the teaching of it, and that was just
right. It's a science communication aspect of science.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
So he was really good. He had all these models always on this Odyssey program on the big screen on his computer. They'd always show you, so you weren't just seeing 2D figures on a page. You were seeing things bump into each other and run around the screen, and things gave you more of a 3D understanding of what it is, and that's really important in chemistry. I'm sure it is in biology too, not just to have this 2D, what you see on the page interpretation of things, but to understand that it's moving and dynamic, and what's happening in reality.
And I think that's so much more important for chemistry, because biology, you have, if you're looking at a cell, you can look at it underneath a microscope. You can build 3D models, right? But chemistry, it's so abstract. And
physics even more so. Yeah.
Physics even more so. It gets even more trippy. But these are so abstract, and having models and even analogies can be so useful for students. I know it was for me in high school, because it gives you something to connect to and associate. You're like, oh, okay, it works like this. Like electronegativity, I would always associate to a greedy friend that I had from high school. He'd be like, hey, so because you got lunch, bro, and he would just steal everyone's lunch, just like chlorine steals hoards electrons. And so like those sort of analogies always help me, and it just shows what a great lecturer he must have been. to actually understand that and know, because chemistry is so abstract, it's good to just show 3D models so that students can understand this stuff.
I mean, talking about the maths from before, how he would actually do a lot of his lectures was he'd start at the start with this 3D model example, and especially when we got to the stuff that was a bit more mathsy, a bit more maths based, kinetics and things like that, and he would show you these models and show you the stuff reacting, and build you to the point where you derived the equation for this phenomena without having to even think about numbers. You would just, you know what I mean? You
it was
were
just
looking
logic.
at physically what was happening, and then it's just
Right.
logic.
Ah.
You know what I mean? Rather than the first thing you see is the equation,
Right.
and then he tries to describe to you what this equation means.
Right.
It's like you've derived that without even seeing any numbers. It was just the
Right.
physical things bumping into each other.
Right. And that would prevent, because what I find, and I'm sure you do some teaching, do you do any sort of demonstrating? Yeah. So you'll find with a lot of students is if they perceive something to be difficult, they just shut themselves off, right?
Yeah.
Even though they can learn it, if they just don't come in with a bias, like, oh, it's too hard for me, I can't do this, oh, I'm not even gonna bother. Whereas if you come, like how Roy did it, come from it in an angle where they don't even know that they were going to think it's too difficult, right? You start off with something visual, and then at the end they realize, oh, I can understand this, right?
Yeah.
Which just shows how many times we put limitations and barriers in our own in our own learning.
Yeah.
We think something's impossible, and so we make it impossible to learn. Check out our podcast on blabcoats.com. Subscribe on iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you find your podcast by looking up Blabcoats.